It is Monday, August 1st, 2016. I am your host, Frank Dashwood, and this is Coin Metal. Well, and having been away from the scene a little bit, I'm still kind of finding my sea legs, dipping my fingers into my Twitter feed and seeing exactly what's going on out there, and it's been pretty exciting the last few days. The Ethereum thing's still bubbling around in the background, and we're going to talk quite a bit about that on this show. But there are other things going on, and some new judgments. The one in Florida, we won't be talking about that today, but I will be getting back on that on the next show. But that one is pretty significant. And anyway, I do want to talk a bit about Ethereum, though. I've been leery about the project the whole time, and the latest developments have got me a little more concerned. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and throw down our first dance for the day. And it's times like this that I feel we just need a little bit more Slipknot in our lives. So here it is, Pulse of the Maggots, off of Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses, here on Coin Metal.
Well,
man, that was Slipknot with Pulse of the Maggots. I love that song. You know, that the beginning part of it, though, it does describe this election very, very, very well. You know, that this is the year that hope fails you, and that the bastard you know is the hero you hate. It doesn't make any sense to me that our media is as it is. I mean, it does make sense from the economic standpoint. You know, you say what the person who pays you says to say, you know. Well, fortunately for me, nobody pays me to say anything, so I can say whatever the fuck I want. Maybe that'll change one day. Maybe somebody will say to me, hey, if you say this, I'll pay you some money. And, you know, that could very well happen. I'll assure you of this, though. I won't say it if I don't think it's true. It was one of the reasons why I quit the last job that I had. It was just, I didn't feel like it reflected my true values. And despite being a salesperson, I actually do have some morals. You know, I mean, I probably shouldn't. They don't serve me very well in this day and age. But I do have some morals and I do have some ethics. And I will never knowingly pump something that I know is a scam. You know, I think the biggest problem with crypto, and it's pretty much the biggest problem that we've had throughout the latest few really big social changing developments. The one that comes most to mind is, of course, the internet. Now, I think the failure actually started a bit before the internet, and I think the internet could have happened a little bit earlier if we'd have recognized the error and addressed it a little bit earlier. You know, I think back in the day when we had homebrew groups, like the step to go from there was to be trying to take it to community college classes, and and you know, taking concepts that they were learning, such as, you know, hardware architecture and programming and whatnot, and starting it there in like local community colleges. And then picking it up from local community colleges into high school curriculums. And then taking it from high school curriculums down to the lower grades. And start developing computer proficiency as a requirement, an expectation of your development in school. I think one of the reasons why we haven't done that is that there's this pervading mindset that we have to do things the same way that we've been doing them for the last, I don't know, ever since we've invented the idea of wages. That, you know, you have to drive to work, you have to work at a specific place, you have to do your work there, and then you can come home. Well, we live in an era where you can do pretty much anything anywhere. You know, if you have a signal connection to the rest of the world, and it doesn't matter how, but if you do have that connection, you can do your work from anywhere. And it really depresses me knowing that anywhere from 60 to 70% of all the traffic that I see on the road really doesn't need to be on the road It doesn't. You know, these are people going to jobs where they are going to sit in front of a computer with a phone and maybe a filing cabinet. Okay, these are all things that they could have at home. You know, they could have access to the company's website or their intranet or a specified means of connecting to the company. There are any number of ways to set up remotely these days. And these options have been available since the telephone. But there's been this mindset that, you know, we've had it this way before, so this is the way we're going to do it. You know, the slaves never left the plantation, so we have to have the plantation there that the slaves come and they work at, and then they go home. Well, that's a really neat idea. There's a few problems with it, though. We're literally fighting wars over energy sources these days. And all of that lifestyle requires energy. It requires energy to make the vehicle, for one, but then it requires energy to transport my ass from point A to point B to do a job that I can do at point A, because I do have all the technological capabilities and the connectivity in which to do it. But because we're living in some bygone era, vocationally anyway, we have to maintain this stupid idea. I mean, it's really funny because there are so many changes that we're seeing that don't reflect this value, such as like Airbnbs or Uber. What are these things actually replacing? With an Airbnb, it's replacing you having to have a permanent residence. With Ubers, it's replacing your need to have a vehicle and to pay insurance on it and all that other bullshit. But these are breakaways from that stultified lifestyle that, from 8 o'clock till 5 o'clock, you're going to be at this place other than where you live to do something that you can do from where you live. I mean, and it defies me why it hasn't. It defies my imagination why it hasn't happened already. That we're still living as we've lived a few thousand years ago, and that I don't know, what is it like? The threat of social dissolution or something. I mean, come on now, how connected do you have to be in order to maintain your social grace of some sort? Although I will admit, living on the internet and whatnot, and then going out into meet space is a bit different. There are a lot of social conventions that you don't have to entertain when you're face to face. Like right now, I could be buck ass naked and none of you could say shit about it. I'm not. Sorry, ladies. But the point being that, my status, my physical status at this point, I don't even have to be in this room right now. I could be, somewhere out in the yard making this recording, because, unfortunately it's not 100% the way that I would like it, but, we're working towards that. The point being that locality, geographic locality, is not as limiting as it used to be. And we have yet to fully embrace that as a civilization. And because of that, I think that's one of those places where we really have failed our children and kind of failed as a civilization, is that, and I would venture to guess this is where previous advanced human civilizations have also fallen, is that certain classes or a certain class of us are designated to do certain things. And we designate nerds to do things like make the internet work. Now, by doing that, we don't automatically associate ourselves with the term nerd. There's some negative connotation there that we might not want to wear. But there are adverse social implications with that word as well. But there's this expectation that quote unquote smart people, people smarter than us are writing the web pages, and people smarter than us are maintaining the system. And the fact of the matter is, it's not true. None of them are smarter than you. None of them. They've just spent more time doing what they're doing than you have. If you spend as much time doing what they're doing as they have or they had, you'd be as good at it as they are. Now, that's not an entire blanket statement. I can't just throw it out there and have that be 100% true. There are deviations. But the point remains the same, is that think of something that you do that's better than anybody else. Everybody else around you sucks at it. You are the best at it. Now, take it to computer programming or anything like that. They are that by comparison to most other people. That doesn't mean that you can't pick up a programming book. Go to code school or any number of other websites where there are tutorials teaching you how to program. There are plenty of informational websites that dive really deep into cryptocurrencies and all the technologies involved there. And there is literally no excuse why, if you were so interested and so compelled, that you couldn't be Vitalik Buterin or Janet Yellen, for that matter, or Bill Gates. The only thing that designates those people from you is that they've already done it. That's it. The question remains, though, what are you going to do? So with that in mind, I'm going to throw down a little bit of new prong because it fits this just perfectly here. We're going to go ahead and throw down some no absolutes for you here on Coin Metal.
absolutes for you to choose. There is a truth inside of you. What can you do? What will you prove? The answer's deep inside you. No absolutes for you to choose. There is a truth inside of you. What can you do? What will you prove? The answer's deep inside you. No absolutes for you to choose. There is a truth inside of you. What can you do? What will you prove? The answer, there's no absolute.
And that was Prong, No Absolutes, off the album of the same name. And you know, I do play a little bit too much Prong on this show, but I love their music. What can I say? I'm a Prong fan down to my bones. In any case, I do want to get into some articles today because this whole Ethereum excitement, it's gotten me thinking. You know, there's basically a debate, going on about what is the great thing about cryptocurrencies, and it's actually being tested right now with what's going on with Ethereum. And I say that because there's kind of an in between right now. There's people that want to stay with the good old Ethereum Classic, and then there's those that want to move on and basically disembowel this latest attempt to hack the DAO. But I don't know. We've been facing this challenge with regard to Bitcoin. If there was ever a 51% attack that was successful, how would we handle the situation? Would we roll back the chain? I mean, because I think there has been a rollback before, but it was a very, very long time ago. The point being is that Bitcoin has always been one of those things where you view the source code and you make your decision based on that, based on the market metrics and a variety of other factors to determine whether or not it's a viable investment. And so for you to invest based on that information, and then later on for the underpinning technology to be radically transformed without your knowledge or say so, it's really antithetical to the whole cryptocurrency thing. I mean, why have an immutable ledger if you're just going to roll it back and change what it said back in the past to resolve to a desired future, And we're trying to get away from that shit. We're trying to get away from banks or governing bodies being able to go back and change the ledger to read so that they don't owe a whole bunch of money to us. And it's kind of stepping backward, I think, to do things such as the hard fork on Ethereum. Because you're just going back to this idea that we're just supposed to trust that tomorrow, when tomorrow comes, you're not going to grow a wild hair in your butt and say, you know what, I think we're going to hard fork again today. And I want to change this about Ethereum, and I want to change that. Let's go ahead and hard fork it. When you do that, you destroy the trust. The whole fundamental value behind any cryptocurrency, and we're actually going to be talking about this with regard to IBM later on. The whole value of cryptocurrencies is people's willingness, their knowing willingness to participate in your system. If they don't know and they aren't willingly participating in it, it's not a true reflection of the market and it has no value. With Bitcoin, when there's a significant drop off in the hashing power, some major mining firm cashes out, we see it. We see it in the hashing power being dedicated to it on a damn near real-time basis. But we don't see those things with, say, Federal Reserve notes. I mean, they say certain things are happening, but we have to trust what they're saying because we have no way to actually verify what they're saying. And again, it's this principle that makes cryptocurrencies, or at least separates them from fiat currencies and other currency units that we've had, that there is no authority between you and the market. You are the market. You are the miner. You are the merchant that's willing to accept it as a currency note. You are the customer that's willing to transact it as a monetary unit. There's no mommy and daddy, there's no state, there's no lawyer. It either is or it isn't. The transaction clears, the transaction doesn't clear. What more complex does it really need to be? The whole purpose of these things these cryptocurrencies, is to be able to transact monetary value electronically without the need for a third-party intermediary. And I know that there are going to be third-party intermediaries here and there, but I think eventually, we're going to get down to things like where the transaction volumes that are happening on these systems will be enough to sustain exchanges, and that their transaction fees will go lower, and this will drive even further competition with regard to the cryptocurrencies themselves. Because I think Bitcoin, it's starting to approach that point where the transaction fees are becoming an issue. Because when you compare, when you compare Bitcoin to, say, Verge, okay, why would you really want to transact in Verge? If you really needed a reason to transact monetary value in Verge, consider this. With Bitcoin, a Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshis. A Verge coin is 4 Satoshis. So now when you spend monetary value in Bitcoin, because of the way that network's set up, say you wanted to buy a full Bitcoin, which right now is running around, $650. Say you wanted to throw $650 on Bitcoin, and you wanted to move that much monetary value. The transaction fee for that transaction will be around somewhere in the order of 5 to, I would say, maybe 25 cents. It could be more, but I would think that that's a reasonable transaction fee, somewhere in between there. With regard to Verge, though, if you were to move that same amount of monetary value in Verge, the transaction fee for it would be a lot lower. It would be like a fifth of a penny. And so it's that much cheaper to move it, And if you're doing a significant volume of transactions in any given day, it's more beneficial to go with the other currencies, because depending on which one and the transactive volume on it and whatever, and its valuation by comparison to Bitcoin, it could have a great deal lower transaction fee than Bitcoin does. You can still move the same amount of monetary value. It still has a publicly available blockchain that you can examine the transaction on at any time, but it's a lot cheaper. And I think this is one of the things that people that got into Bitcoin to begin with have always been afraid of with regard to altcoins, is that not only can you transact monetary value with no intermediaries, but there's competition in this market. And this competition will take you to task, because it's a group of people. It consists of a group of people much like yourself, who don't really like paying $3.50 to withdraw $40 of their own money from their own bank account with a bank. I mean, isn't that ridiculous? Having to pay $3.50 for a $40 transaction. I mean, of course, if I'd have withdrawn $160, it still would have been $3.50. But it's still $3.50. That's like half of a meal at Jack in the Box or something right there, that they're snatching away from me for moving the money from my account into my hand in paper dollars. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that we live in this world of, high-speed transactions, light-speed transactions, and I have to pay that much money just to use my own money. I mean, I already earned it. I already went to work, from point A to point B 5 times a week, and made the money, and now I got to pay again to use the money, and then I'm probably going to get taxed on that transaction. Like if I'm buying gas or something like that. Well, there's another 50% of the money that I spent going to the state for me having spent money. Now, I look everywhere around me and I see other little taxes here and there that are just, just turkey stuff this one in there. And it makes me feel like the market is completely ripe for the disruption that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies can bring, because we can circumvent all that crap. I don't have to charge you excise tax on a transaction. If I made something and you want to buy it, I don't have to charge you excise tax. I can just say, hey, pay me in Dogecoin. I'll have that sent right out to you. I include the shipping in the price that I give the guy for it. He scans the thing over to me. I ship it off. Done. Nobody's the wiser. A little bit of commerce happened there. No big deal. I take the Dogecoin to a cryptocurrency exchange. I roll it out for Bitcoin. Take the Bitcoin off the exchange. Roll it out for US dollars. Go take my girl for a dinner. And nobody is the wiser. And I think that with as the way that things are going right now, with the liquidity drying up in various places, I really do see a bank run sometime in the near future. And when that happens, cryptocurrencies are going to look a lot more viable. They're going to look a lot more trustworthy. And I think right now what's going on is a race. That we were supposed to have already been all the way through this cycle. That we were supposed to have made cash illegal and finished off that legacy system. But Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have put a stall on that. Kind of giving us a little bit of wiggle room to adjust. And I think it's really key that during this time, people do keep in mind that they are the masters of their coins. We are the masters of these networks. There's no governments that have any say or should have any say in our participation in these markets. I mean, the government doesn't go to Marvel Comics and tell them, you're only going to crank out 100 of these because, we got to maintain market stability. Stanley just says, whatever, I'm going to crank out another 500 million of them and just not release them under this name, or he would find a way around it. And I think that's where we're at with cryptocurrencies, and it's really where we need to stay with it. Where we need to keep the viability of anybody, just anybody who wants to participate in these. Because it's been too long that we've been under the yoke of fiat currencies. And they've had completely disastrous effects. I mean, people think that it's always been this way. It has not always been this way. This is a relatively new experiment with regard to monetary systems. Barter used to be a much bigger part of our everyday lives than it is today. I think that now with cryptocurrencies that barter can just go transnational, and it doesn't really matter what you make. You could make fishing lures. You can make music with a flute. Somebody out there likes what you do, what you make. I don't care if it's you take coloring books and you color them in masterfully. Somebody wants that. Believe it or not, somebody wants that. When you look at that page, it'd be the perfect background for a website for a preschool. That it could be stock footage that you sell in a bundle or a package to somebody interested in that kind of clip art. But the point being is that those markets weren't possible previously, but they are possible now. And with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, the time element as well as the geography element are completely gone. You can pay people anytime, anywhere. Look at my ID on any of my social media. That is a public address for a Bitcoin wallet. Meaning that if you want to give me money for doing what I do on this show, you just, hey, I like Frank Dashwood, I want to give him some money. You can scan that address, enter in an amount, click send, and it'll go into my wallet. And it doesn't matter when you do it. It doesn't matter where you do it. It doesn't matter how much the transaction is for. But it's publicly available for you to do. And it's with that in mind that we're going to go ahead and throw down our next song. A little bit of Suicidal Tendencies for you here. Send Me Your Money here on Coin Metal. And that was some good old school Suicidal Tendencies. As a matter of fact, I've heard rumor that they are going to be releasing a new album. Supposedly, Rocky George is on board with it this time around. So that'll be pretty interesting. It's only been about 20 years since they've been working together. Maybe a little bit less than that. I'm not entirely certain which ST projects he has worked on. To my recollection, Lights Camera Revolution was the last one, but I could be mistaken on that one. It might have been the Art of Rebellion where he bailed out on it. In any case, I do want to get into some articles today. And to the point of the volume of money to be sent from one party to another, I I came across this article and I was kind of confused by it, and I took a cursory look at it, and it didn't seem to make any more sense by doing so. So I'm actually going to read this one to you, and we'll figure out exactly why the discernment is here. Anyway, here it is, CoinDesk, and this one was authored on the 1st, of course. Anonymous blockchain micropayments advance with Bolt proposal. Bolt. Okay. Can blockchain micropayments be fast, decentralized, and private? That question arguably forms the core of a new white paper penned by researchers at Johns Hopkins University that explores methods for bringing greater anonymity to off-blockchain micropayment networks. In the paper, researchers Matthew Green and Ian Myers explore privacy in the context of micropayments channels and outline a new scheme for blind off-chain lightweight transactions, or BOLT, which they believe will provide private, instantaneous, and anonymous payments. The proposal comes at a time when privacy efforts are mainly being directed toward on-blockchain payments, as opposed to those that would be carried out on top-level architecture. The paper argues means privacy concerns related to proposed projects such as Bitcoin's Lightning Network have received less attention, despite the belief these networks will provide key to understanding cryptocurrencies. What? Somebody forgot the word "the." Okay, will provide the key to understanding cryptocurrencies to more users, and this is complete bullshit. But I'm going to finish. Myers, who also worked on anonymous cryptocurrency Zcash and ZeroCoin, the protocol on which it's based, told CoinDesk, "The question is, can you build something like Lightning that actually does provide privacy?" That was the motivation. 3 limitations. In Myers' eyes, cryptocurrencies face 3 main issues: scalability, or the ability to support more users; the slow speed at which transactions are confirmed, around 10 minutes for Bitcoin and 2.5 minutes for Zcash; and transaction privacy. Micropayment channel networks such as the in-progress Lightning Network or Thunder Network solve the first 2 problems by moving transactions to a new layer instead of recording every transaction on the blockchain. Users open up channels, perhaps someday by clicking an app, settling transactions on the blockchain only when necessary. Proponents argue this solves the scalability issues and allows for many more transactions while still not requiring trust in any third party. Finally, there is the issue of privacy, which has been partially addressed by ZeroCoin and the much-anticipated Zcash, the release of which was delayed last week. This anonymous cryptocurrency, the researchers say, could guard channel openings and closures from revealing information about the customer and merchant. However, the paper suggests that it would do little to hide information on micropayment channels. A new Bolt blog post explains why this might be a problem. These IOUs form a unique identifier which can be used to track Alice, much like a cookie. Anyone who observes these, e.g. the Tor exit node, will not a priori know who the identifier belongs to. Her actual identity is still protected by the anonymity service, but they can still observe page views and patterns because multiple payments on a payment channel are inherently linkable. This is enough information to potentially reveal the person's identity or other information about his or her online activity, researchers argue. Anonymizing Lightning. Bolt chips away at the remaining privacy problem. Jesus Christ, man. Do you people even hire editors? Really? hire a goddamn editor. Quit trusting the goddamn spell checker and all that to fix this crap for you, because it's missing a lot of shit. I'm telling you. Hire somebody. Bolt chips away at the remaining problem by making payments within the channel unlinkable. You accomplish paying them, but you haven't revealed who you are, Myers explains. It anonymizes the IOUs in the micropayment channel by using two long-established cryptography techniques called commitments, which hide the value of a payment, and blind signatures, which allows someone to sign a transaction without revealing what's being signed. Bolt works with bidirectional micropayment channels where parties connect directly to each other and update payments each way, but for now, there's one key limitation. Bolt can only support one intermediary hop, meaning it is perhaps not as decentralized as desired by developers. Myers argues that there's still a risk payment channels could become centralized, and that multi-hop micropayments, such as those offered by Lightning's proposals, could fail to materialize. In the case of this future, he argues, Bolt will protect user information. If Lightning takes off, it might be centralized in the hands of a few players. You'll end up with an analog of Visa or MasterCard where you don't have to trust them with your money, but they're going to be able to see all of these transactions, he said, adding, Bolt is a nice way of making sure they don't see anything at all. Bolt's future. According to the researchers, Bolt can work with any cryptocurrency as long as it supports the necessary cryptography primitives. Bitcoin can support it right now, but at the cost of using hash-based commitments and generic circuit-based multi-party computation MPC for blind signing with ECDSA, as the blog post explains. However, Myers said that it works much better when paired with an anonymous currency like Zcash. Payments on the same micropayment channel will be unlinkable when using Bolt, but the part where you establish the channel on the blockchain won't be. All in all, Myers sees Bolt and micropayment channels solving key problems that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have faced so far. Further, the research plan to release a prototype in the near future incorporating it into a cryptocurrency, they said, will take more time. Well, I've heard about a few projects coming down the line that promise to have several different components of several different coins in them, and I gotta wonder if this might be an implementation that somebody else will take up on it. However, I don't like this idea of IOUs. I don't know. I've been out of sorts with regard to Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining as far as how the whole structure of the network is set up and what exactly it processes these days. You know, according to Bryce Wiener, it changed quite a bit, and so you gotta wonder exactly what has changed. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do a lot more investigation into that. I've heard of. I read a little bit about Lightning Network. Although from what I understand, it still hasn't been implemented or anything. And there's still that stupid ass big block thing going around. I mean, is that just like Roger Ver's thing, or I mean, what the hell? I really think that when you start talking about changing fundamental aspects of Bitcoin, you got to start talking about altcoins. You know, I mean, really, this whole anonymous business. Use Verge. Verge is anonymous. There you go. I mean, there are already coins out there that fit the needs of what you're talking about. Like with regard to Verge. I mean, the last time I checked, it was like 4 sats. 4 Satoshis for one Verge coin. I mean, I can move any amount of money with Verge coin, or a lot of money. I don't know what the full market capacity is right now at this very moment, but I mean, I can move a lot of money with Verge, and I can do it relatively anonymously. And as a matter of fact, anonymous enough it's not tracked on any of the ways now. So, I don't really see the point of this. I don't see the the need for those kind of tweaks in Bitcoin. Leave Bitcoin as Bitcoin. Mine the Bitcoin. Transact the Bitcoin. Maintain the Bitcoin network. If some new attack comes out that you need to fix for or something like that, yeah, okay, go right ahead and do it. But now when we're talking about addressing problems that haven't really materialized yet, you gotta start wondering if you really want to address them. Like what's the certainty of them actually materializing? What's the possibility? I don't know. I look at it, and when I see things like making bigger blocks or doing something to enhance the confirmation speed on the network or something to that effect, I start getting worried about it, because those are the things that make Bitcoin Bitcoin. And I fear that someday in the not so distant future, we're going to have blockchain currencies that are transacted by the quote-unquote mainstream. But there'll be the mining that occurs will be happening on the quote-unquote Internet of Things, that you'll be forced to support networks, currency networks, without your knowledge. And that those networks are going to be put in commercial competition with Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. And I think there's something fundamentally wrong with that idea. I mean to say that there is something fundamentally wrong with the idea of being forced to support a coin via your internet connection or your TV or your refrigerator or whatever. In the sense that with regard to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, at least part of their value is derived by your willingness to provide them with networks. You provide the nodes on the networks that process the transactions, do you not? Right? Okay, well, now imagine that you, L Miner, now has to compete on a network, compete with a network that is closed in the sense that you can't willingly dedicate hash power to it, is open in the sense that it's occurring everywhere with all of your electronic devices. And I don't know, I've been seeing this growing trend where the services that you're getting, you provide the bandwidth for it, you provide the computer processing power for it, you provide the electricity for it, and you get charged $20 a month for it. I mean, really now, it's like it would be like if somebody you started mining and then somebody charged you to mine, and the cost they charged you to mine was more than you made off of the Bitcoin. And it's very disconcerting, this idea that and when you start looking at around and you hear about projects like IBM. As a matter of fact, I've got an article right here that I'd like to read to you about one of their projects that they're working on now. And I don't know. I think IBM has kind of lost the plot when it comes to blockchains. I don't think they understand that it's not the data structure that's so important. It's the verification means. Okay, the fact that it's verified via a global network of independent nodes. And those nodes do not have all the same interests as one another. And so that's what makes Bitcoin so secure. It's not the blockchain structure. It's not the way that it's built, although that does help. The primary means the primary means that Bitcoin derives its security from is the process of mining, and not just the process of mining, the network effect behind that process that's performing that process. We're not talking about, IBM has a network and then Microsoft has a network, and they can join the two together and they make a blockchain. I mean, you might be able to get, some level of a similar effect. You might even be able to get a better effect by attaching a few other companies, like you attach Apple and I don't know, Asus and Google. You attach all those together on a single blockchain, and you have them hashing to try and beat one another in completing the block. You would derive some network effect out of it, but it would be limited, and it would be a lot easier to collude amongst one another and leverage against the others. Whereas with Bitcoin, there's no discernment between who can participate. There's quite a bit of discernment as to how they can participate, but your participation is entirely voluntary. It's not compelled of you. Nobody is pointing a gun at your head and saying, hey, I want you to take your disposable income, and I want you to buy miners, and I want you to hook them up, and I want you to use some of your electricity and some of your bandwidth to maintain this network. There's none of that going on in Bitcoin. Now, when we're talking about the Internet of Things, we abrogate that idea, because the Internet of Things could be dedicated to pretty much anything that the manufacturers of those things decide they want to dedicate it to. And that's pretty much what's going on now, I'm sure on some level, with regard to all of our consumer electronics and whatnot. But I find this trend very, very disturbing. And I wish there was a little more effort being taken to kind of eliminate that. I look at my device right here. I've got this Amazon Fire. Heck of a little device. It's pretty powerful. It's not as powerful as some other devices, but it's spiffy. It does the job. Now, I can pretty much do everything that I want with regard to Bitcoin through it, although there is some issue with regard to getting it to bind up to the regular Google Play Store and getting it to take apps from that. And I'm sure it's because Amazon has their own little proprietary bullshit that they introduce and whatnot. But point being, it's not as liberated as I would like to see. And the real ironic part about it is that device is like $50, right? And so I bought a Nexus 7 back in 2013, 2014. And it's a really, really nice device. I love it to death. The problem is it doesn't have a means for you to insert external media. Whereas the stupid-ass $50 Amazon Kindle Fire has a port and can take up to 64 gigs. I actually think it's 128 gigs of additional storage. And I think that's one of those design oversights, that I don't know. I don't like the whole my device is nothing but a hypervisor to Google. I think that's just. I think there's something wrong with that. I don't want Google to be my computer. I just want them to do my search. I want them to I want them to index my search results. I don't want them to spy on me and sell my search results to other people, although that's how they make their money. But there are a lot of other things that I don't want them to do that they do with that information. And I think there should be, or there probably will be rather, a greater push for people to be taking control of that. And I think Bitcoin is really the first step. And when that choice aspect of Bitcoin is made its most relevant attribute, which I think will become relatively soon, when that becomes the most distinguishing attribute about it is that you can use it as a means to transact your monetary value, that will be its biggest selling point, and that will be the marker of competition. That the easier it is to get in and out of your currency and to transact in your currency, the better it's going to be. You know, the more significant your participation in mining is. You know, if you're getting a little better return on your investment there in hashing power and bandwidth and electricity and whatnot. And I'm sure for miners and a few others out there, these are the markers that you use to determine your investment in them. But I mean, when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about like the people at large. You know, people that have no idea what Bitcoin is. You know, that was one of my joys about my last job, is that they forced me to talk to people. Okay, well, you know what I'm going to talk to them about? That's right. I'm going to talk to them about Bitcoin. I don't give a fuck. They're calling in about their bill. You know, I use it as a soliloquy to insert, hey, you know what? This would be so much easier if we were doing this transaction in Bitcoin. Oh, what? You've never heard of Bitcoin? Oh, wow. Then go to bitcoin.org. and so that was my little addition to my job. And it was really funny because they actually made me listen to a few of my calls. And one of the calls that they made me listen to, I went into description for like 30 minutes with this lady, and she worked at a bank. And I kept trying to disengage, but she was giving me cues. You know, she was giving me cueing vocabulary, and so I'm like, oh God, no. She wants more information, and I'm really not supposed to be talking to her about this right now. But you know, hey, what the hell? And I mean, after a while, I just kind of gave into it, and then moved it along. But nonetheless, I used my opportunity well, I think, in trying to disseminate to the public at large what they need to be knowing about these currencies. In any case, before we dive into this IBM business, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit more music. And for this one, I want to throw down a little bit of Crowbar. I haven't played any this time around. And so here we are, Scatter Pieces Lay, here on Coin Metal.
Into
And that was Crowbar, Scattered Pieces Lay, off of Oddfellow's Rest. And I gotta say, that's, out of all of the Crowbar albums I've heard, that's probably one of the consistently best albums. I mean, there are a few out there that I enjoy some of the songs on, but some of the others I was kind of do with or without. But Oddfellow's Rest and Broken Glass, both of those were really, really solid releases. And although I haven't played any recently, I'm sure I will in the future. The last album that I heard by Crowbar was pretty tasty as well. But in any case, I told you guys we're going to get into this IBM article, and so this one is, of course, on CoinDesk. And here it is: IBM building blockchain dispute resolution system. How promising. IBM could launch a finance-oriented blockchain solution as early as this fall. According to the Wall Street Journal, IBM's global financing unit is looking to kick off a project that would focus on resolving transaction disputes. The system reportedly won't replace the global financing unit's existing systems, at least not in the near term. Rather, it will operate beside what is currently used. According to IBM, as many as 25,000 disputes arise in this division of the company each year, holding up as much as $100 million in capital. The blockchain-based system is expected to reduce the time in which it takes to clear a dispute and release the contested funds. Though no release date is known at this time, IBM could launch the blockchain solution as early as September, the report said. In addition to its internal blockchain work, IBM is also a contributor to the Linux Foundation-led Hyperledger project. And I haven't investigated into Hyperledger, although I have heard a lot of expectations. As a matter of fact, I think Bryce referred to it a few times. But anyway, I'd noticed when I finished this article, and I scrolled down to check what the comments had to say, and there are, of course, no comments on this one yet. There's all this IBM blockchain this, IBM blockchain that. Hey, IBM, who's going to be mining your blockchain? And how are they going to be mining your blockchain? Is Microsoft going to be lending you the hash power off of their Xbox 360s, or are all of the processors you release like equipped with the micro miner in it that just works behind the scenes in the background there and mines for you? Where exactly is all the hashing power for your blockchains going to come from? Internet of Things, perhaps? So now, again, at what point is our choice going to be abrogated on the mining end of it? You heard Bryce when I suggested that they were trying to get rid of miners in the whole Bitcoin ecosystem. He kind of giggled and quipped a little bit. Well, that stuff gives stuff away to me. Okay, that says that that's pretty much underway. And so, wherein lies the trust in a blockchain-based currency that has no miners? Where does the trustless aspect come from? It comes from the fact that there are multiple, thousands of interested parties all competing to complete the block that much faster. And that is where the trust comes from, is because you have so many disparate entities trying to achieve the same goal that via the consensus of their results, the goal is achieved. And that therein lies the trustless aspect. You take those people out of it, and what do you have? You just have a time-stamped database. That's all you have. Big whoop-de-doo. Fucking blockchain. Woohoo! you don't have the discernment of another party. Your shit can be corrupted. Your shit can be mutable. What makes it immutable is the fact that it's documented that all of these people participated in this line of the code. I mean, this line of the chain completed first. And this one confirmed the first. And this one achieved the most confirms. Now, when, again, you take that aspect out of it, what do you have left? And is it worth the same? You know, these people are creating these systems in competition with Bitcoin. Now, when you take the fundamental safety aspects out of it, the fundamental trustless aspects out of it, how can it possibly be said of these systems that they are reliable competitors, truthful competitors with Bitcoin? I, for one, don't think they can be. And I think that there are other cryptocurrencies out there that did not require billions of dollars of investment in, or millions of dollars, whatever the case may be, that were spawned by, 18-year-old kids that are now trading on international networks. I mean, international exchanges, rather. And they're superior to this project. And I just say that open-handedly because, again, there's nothing in this that tells me exactly where the hashing power for this network that creates this blockchain is going to come from. If it's all going to be IBM, I don't really give a fuck. If it's all unwilling participants lending a little bit of their computing power from all of IBM's devices out there, I don't really give a fuck. If the product, the blockchain itself is the product of thousands of willing, knowing participants, all hashing to complete that block that much faster than the next guy, I'm keenly interested in that one. Because I know that whatever fuckery may be occurring behind the scenes, it's the consensus, the guy that completes the block first according to the consensus rules, and the guy that confirms first. That's it. That is the trustless aspect of Bitcoin in a nutshell. And without that, again, all you've got is a distributed ledger. I mean, big whoop-de-doo. You've got it here and you've got it in Singapore. They were all on your intranet, on your private blockchain, on your permissioned ledger. So why should I trust it? I didn't get to participate in it. I didn't get to mine it. Why should I trust it? In any case, we're going to throw in a little more music here. And I feel that a little Megadeth is in order, especially considering our next article here. And this one's out to all you Ethereum folk up there. Megadeth, Wake Up Dead, here on Coin Metal.
Dead.
And that was Megadeth, old school Megadeth that is, with Wake Up Dead. And I'm sure that some in the Ethereum community were really feeling that song relatively recently here. And it's big if it's covered by the Wall Street Journal. Let's just say that. It's big in crypto if it happened in the Wall Street Journal. And so here it is. And I'm gonna refrain from any kind of hyperbole or anything like that up front, but we'll get into that afterward. The great digital currency debate: new Ethereum versus Ethereum Classic. Opponents of the hard fork cleave the currency by maintaining the old version. The new digital currency Ethereum is only about 3 years old, but after a controversial software upgrade, it already has split in two. After the so-called forking of the cryptocurrency was carried out on July 20th to undo a hack in June that led to the theft of $60 million worth of Ethereum, some developers of the currency fought back by essentially ignoring the fork, not updating their software, and maintaining the older version of the currency. The name of the older version, Ethereum Classic, the somewhat confounding result is that two exact versions of the same exact cryptocurrency exist. A high-profile theft in June involving Ethereum, a Bitcoin-like digital platform, led to the controversial decision to rewrite the software in such a way that the theft didn't exist. Users were given a choice of whether or not to upgrade their software via a hard fork in this new version. The transactions would be erased and the money returned. Most adopted the fork, but a minority, driven by a philosophical disagreement, did not, choosing to work on the old software. Now that non-forked version is gaining support through a rising price and more adoption on trading platforms, leaving two versions of Ethereum that are identical in every respect save one. In one version, the theft doesn't exist. In the other, it does. A fortune at one point worth $60 million and the reputation of a much-hyped Bitcoin alternative rests upon how quickly this schism is resolved. The value of the non-forked version, Ethereum Classic, has been extremely volatile, falling by nearly 90% one day and rising more than 200% another. It closed last week around $1.64 and was trading around $2.12 on Monday. By comparison, the forked Ethereum traded at about $11.50 on Monday morning, with an overall market value of just under $1 billion, according to the website Cryptocurrency Market Capitalizations. A more telling stat in this new civil war: the volume of Ethereum Classic traded on Monday was higher than the volume of Ethereum traded, even if the hash rate, a measure of the computing power on the network, is far higher for Ethereum than for Classic. It is still a thin market, but the trading volume is a sign for now, at least, there is a market for Classic. One prominent Bitcoin investor, Barry Silbert, announced on Twitter last week that he'd invested an undisclosed amount in it, his first non-Bitcoin cryptocurrency investment. He didn't state his rationale exactly, but did clarify it was an investment, not a trading position. Many in the Ethereum community opposed the forks, said Arthur Hayes, CEO of digital exchange BitMEX, which is also supporting Classic, even offering option trading on the currency as well. These traders will place ideology ahead of profits, and that is very positive for the staying power of Classic. Yet another exchange, Shapeshift, was supporting Classic too. The decision to do so, said Shapeshift Eric Voorhees, is purely market-driven. He thinks that within a few weeks or a month, one version of Ethereum will overtake the other. We don't expect that both of the assets will persist indefinitely, he said. Until it's settled, we should probably trade them both. Still, he acknowledged it was a tricky and unusual situation. There's not a lot of precedent for this. The decision to revise the history of Ethereum trading has split people who trade the currency and who designed it as a way to encourage open technology ledgers in a number of industries. The Ethereum Foundation itself said in a blog post that it was not opposed to alternative versions of the software, but it would be supporting only the forked version. There is a vocal group opposed to the hard fork that argues cryptocurrencies are supposed to have inalterable public histories, the key feature that allows them to operate without third-party oversight. The hard fork, they argued, created a currency that could be altered at any time. In essence, it no longer reflects, quote-unquote, the truth. The fork didn't require 100% compliance, and holdouts were anticipated. They were expected, however, to be forced to move over to the other version of the software, much like software users are forced to upgrade when older versions are no longer supported. But the non-forked version is gaining market share and backers. Microsoft Corp last year integrated Ethereum-based tools into its business services platform Azure, and has been among the technology's most prominent backers. The company said it is not concerned about the competition between the factions and has not seen any disruptions to projects from its customers. We are happy with the successful fork, said Marley Gray, the company's director of BizDev and strategy for blockchain. If anything, the successful implementation of the hard fork has further established Ethereum as a de facto standard for enterprise consortium networks. The seeds of the story go back to an outfit calling itself the DAO, Decentralized Autonomous Organization, which began a crowdfunding drive in May with the goal of creating a sort of venture fund for Ethereum-based startups. The fund would operate via smart contracts, programs that operate under a specific set of rules that obviates the need for human management. The fund surprisingly raised about $150 million worth of Ether. Shortly afterward, an anonymous actor exploited a bug in the software that allowed the diversion of about $60 million of the fund's holdings into a copycat account controlled by the backer. Oh God! And it's funny. There is another article, and this one I think that we should just slam it back to back with this last one, because there was a lot of misrepresentations there. There were a few misrepresentations there, and maybe if we add this little perspective to it, well, let's just do it. And this one is from WhalePanda, crypto trader, investor. I only invest in interesting projects. Hate scams. Don't we all, WhalePanda? The Complete Story of Ethereum so far, and you guys are gonna love this. This is hilarious. And this is set as a conversation, or I don't know how many parties are there. Oh yeah, it's a conversation. Okay. The beginning. Vitalik. Bitcoin is nice, but I have a dream of building a decentralized smart contract platform. I will create something called Ethereum, a world where code is law. Wouldn't that be perfect? I will need a few million funding in Bitcoin, and on top of that, I will create a 12 million Ether pre-mine on a total of 72 million Ether. LOL. Ethereum investors. Of course, Lord Vitalik. Are you sure that's enough for you to dump on us and the Bitcoiners? Vitalik. Yes, that will do. For now. The development. Vitalik. We dumped all Bitcoin at the bottom, and it will take us a few months longer. Ethereum investors. Oh, Lord Vitalik, don't worry, we believe in you. Take your time, so everything will be bug-free. Oops. The deployment. Vitalik. So we've finished Ethereum, and we finished and Ethereum is ready to launch. Ethereum investors. Woohoo! Finally! Vitalik. Yeah, the thing is, we won't have a working Windows wallet with GUI. Ethereum investors. What? But it's okay, Lord Vitalik. If you say it's time, it's fine for us. If you say it's fine for us. Vitalik. Oops, my bad. Yeah, it's fine. LOL. Bitcoiners. LOL. Millions in funding and no proper wallet. The PR push. Ethereum Foundation. We have set up a PR company called Consensus. They're very professional and they're going to help us get the word out about Ethereum. Ethereum investors. Great! But how are we going to compete with Bitcoin? Ethereum Foundation. In every single interview/article we do or release, we will trash talk Bitcoin. We will bribe Mike Hearn to release a statement about how sucky Bitcoin is. Ethereum investors. Wow, you guys are genius! Even though we have an inferior product, if we keep telling everyone it's better, in the end, everyone will want it. Apple Tactics 101. Ethereum Foundation. Exactly, and Mike Hearn is perfect for it. Even though his contributions to Bitcoin are so tiny, newspapers don't know that, LOL. Mike Hearn is just in it for the money anyway. The DAO. Stephen Tall. You guys, I got this great idea for a company. It allows you to lock and unlock stuff through the blockchain. Ethereum investors. Oh, but what's the point? Stephen Twall. But you guys, see, the future. It's like Uber or Airbnb for locks. Ethereum investors. Wow, I love it. This is the future. Here, take all our money. Stephen Twall. No, wait. Let us code and set up a company through a smart contract. That way, if something goes wrong, LOL, no one can sue us for fucking up. We will also use the Ethereum Foundation and PR machine to push this lock company. Ethereum Foundation. We endorse this. We checked the code. And look, we're even buying DAO ourselves. This is awesome. What could go wrong? Gavin Wood. Yeah, no thanks. I'm resigning as curator. Good luck, though. Ethereum Foundation. ROFL. What a noob. Stephen Twall. I will sue you, fodder! The Hack. Stephen Twall. Your funds are perfectly fine. The exploit that they found is not relevant to the DAO, LOL. What do you think, I'm a noob or something? We did a $100,000 security audit. Okay, it ended up being around 100 words, but it was worth it. And it said it's fine. 3 days later. Griff. Oh fuck! Oh fuck! Oh fuck! Oh fuck! What the fuck is happening? Ah! Don't panic, guys, but someone is draining the DAO! Vitalik to all exchanges. Fuck! Cancel all trading! Let's hard fork! Exchanges. What a shit coin! No, we won't stop trading. Vitalik, crying, please! Exchanges. Nope. Ethereum Foundation member talking to himself. LOL, no one suspecting a thing. Money, money, money! Ethereum Foundation. Yes, many of us invested in the DAO, but I promise there is no conflict of interest. Also, code is no longer law, even though it says so on the DAO website, but obviously this doesn't apply when we fuck up. Only when other people fuck up. Bitcoiners. Yep, as expected. LOL. Emingancier. I told you this would happen, but don't worry. In my odd vision of reality, it's fine. Ethereum is fine. The hard fork. Vitalik. Okay, this is going to be very fast and easy. We just blacklist the child DAOs, we white hat drain the rest of the funds, we create a new contract that allows only to withdraw Ethereum. Stephen Twall. And report to me everyone who doesn't agree with the hard fork. I'll hunt them all down. Ethereum investors. Okay, what happens with the extra Ethereum some investors paid the DAO, and what happens with the child DAOs that already split before and after the hack? Ethereum Foundation. Don't worry, guys, we will handle it. Vitalik. You mean we will keep it all for ourselves, right? Ethereum Foundation. Duh! Vitalik. Good, because we're kind of running out of Ethereum to dump. Only 1.1 million left from the 12 million pre-mine, and that less than a year after launch. LOL. Ethereum Foundation. Sick parties, though. Vitalik. Indeed. Dear community, this is not a bailout. We will let you vote on your Ethereum on a website that no one even knows that exists, and we will also check with the miners. Vitalik to Ethereum Foundation members. This should be pretty easy, LOL. Everyone's Ethereum is locked in that DAO anyway. Ha 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 ha. And yeah, we'll have one of us vote pro hard fork, and that's it. 3 days before the hard fork. Dear community, it seems that we have consensus. Even though almost no one voted, well, that guy had 25% of all pro hard fork votes. LOL. And the miners barely voted. We can conclude that this is an overwhelming consensus. Make sure everyone updates their clients. 3 days should be plenty. Exchanges. Fucking shitcoin. Giving us 3 days warning? What the fuck? And what if the coin splits in two? Ethereum Foundation. Don't worry about it. That won't happen. It will be a maximum of a few hours until that network dies. And don't worry about the coins on the other network. No one will want them. Tristan from Poloniex to other exchanges. Maybe we should split them anyway, just to be sure. We've got a pretty basic contract set up to do it, and we can share it. Philip from Bitfinex. Fucking incompetent bastards. I hate this shitcoin. I regret adding it. BTCE. Crickets. Coinbase. Crickets. Day of the hard fork. 5 minutes after the hard fork. Ethereum Foundation. Success! We did it! Woohoo! Champagne! Stephen Twall. Woohoo! Now maybe I won't get sued for totally fucking up $150 million. Brian Armstrong. See? That's how easy a hard fork is. Ethereum Classic. Hi! We're not dead yet. Ethereum Foundation. LOL. Shut the fuck up, noob. Ethereum Classic. Ethereum Classic. We are classic. And we have exactly the same code as Ethereum, except we have immutability and we have principles. Our blocks are coming in at normal speed and people start trading more OTC on Bitcoin Talk and other forums. Maybe someday we'll be added to an exchange. WhalePanda. Immutability has value. I'm going to mine it with some miners from mining rentals. The next morning. Tristan from Poloniex. The Ethereum Foundation told us that the tokens on the other blockchain would be worthless, and we see a lot of trading going on. They also said that the other blockchain would die in a few hours. Fuck those liars. Let's list Ethereum Classic. Ethereum Foundation. LOL, Poloniex added to Ethereum Classic. Free money. Let's dump. Ha 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 ha. Ethereum investors. LOL, Poloniex added Ethereum Classic. Free money. Let's dump. Ha 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 ha. Ethereum whales. This is going to be the easiest accumulation ever. Everyone is dumping on the bottom. A few hours later, Ethereum investors. What the fuck? Price is not going down. This is a scam. Fuck Poloniex. How dare they list it? Even though I dumped myself and got free money out of it. Scammers! Poloniex. Heh, this is going better than we expected. Nice volume. Ethereum whales. Accumulation, pump, shakeout. Accumulation, pump, shakeout. Repeat! ETHtards. This is the top! No, wait, this is the top! No, wait, this is the top! It will start dumping now any second. Just wait and see. This is the top! Bitcoiners. Interesting. Decent platform with some bugs, without a dictator and plus immutability. Cool. Gonna buy some for fun. WhalePanda. LOL. And to think my mining cost was 0.0001 BTC per coin. Why didn't I mine more? A few days later. ETHtards. This is the top! Ethereum Foundation. Guys, they are pulling 3 times our volume. Their hash rate is increasing. People are publicly supporting them. I think we have a problem. It seems we didn't brainwash all of the Ethereum investors well enough to just blindly support us. Vitalik. Fuck! 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 When I told everyone this wouldn't happen, I was wrong. How will people take me seriously from now on? And who leaked the Foundation chat logs? Coinbase. Brian, I think we have a problem. Our Ethereum Classic is all gone. Brian Armstrong. No problem. I'll just say we don't support it. LOL. BTCE. We lost all our Ethereum Classic, so we came to the conclusion that it's a scam. Emin Gunsir. This is fine. Everything is fine. Ethereum is better. Is still better. Barry Silber. Finally, Ethereum with immutability and some balls. I'll have some of that. ETHtards. This is the top! And now we wait until they reach parity at around 1/100th of a Bitcoin. The end for now. Thank you very, very much, WhalePanda. That was as much fun to read as it was to read aloud. And you know, the excitement is still continuing on that one. I checked the chart for Ethereum Classic, and it's still doing rocket sauce all over the place. So, I guess immutability has some value out there after all. And I'm sure that in the future we're going to have problems just like this, probably even in Bitcoin, where there's some major screw up and everybody tries to pretend it didn't happen and try to get a push going to roll back the blockchain. And you've seen what happens if they do it again. What's going to end up happening is you're going to end up with some Bitcoin that's mutable from the rollback, and then you're going to have some Bitcoin that's immutable that's continuing on the original chain. Which one will win? I couldn't tell you. But that little debate is basically continuous, where some miners will implement a new BIP, just to see, hey, check this thing out, see if it helps things out any. And more times than not, the consensus is it doesn't. It doesn't benefit everybody as much as they would like, and they just don't adopt it. And then of course the blocks get a little orphaned, and so on and so forth. But the point being is this debate is continuous, and I don't think it'll stop anytime soon. With every new proposal and every new implementation, that I think the big thing to watch out for, though, is to try and keep Bitcoin as a consensus product instead of the product of the whims of a government or enforcement agency. Simply because then it'll become a product of that enforcement agency or government. It won't be a product of people like you and me. And I think it's even more important that we be just as careful with the means that we use to exchange it and the way that we do try to address quote-unquote government officials. I mean, I believe wholeheartedly that no matter what happens in the open market, that there will always be free cryptocurrencies, that there will always be networks of people that are mining coins. Whether or not they're exchanged publicly or utilized publicly is an entirely different matter. But I don't believe that the cat will ever go back in the bag. And I believe that it's silly to assume that there's ever going to be a point where governments could lasso the entirety of all of the monetary wealth that's going on and being transacted out there. There's just too many different ways for it to be transacted. Whether it be fine art or antique guns, vintage cars. I think I mentioned earlier comic books, records. Old vinyl still carries a little bit of value out there. But all of these things are means of conveying monetary wealth and storing monetary wealth. And, again, there's not a governing institution, regulating baseball cards, is there? If there is, I'm wholly unaware of it. Is there some governing body in there to make sure that everybody's paying all their appropriate taxes on their exchange of baseball cards? If not, then they need to get the fuck out of Bitcoin, because the fact of the matter is they're almost identical, with the exception that Bitcoin is wholly unforgeable, whereas baseball cards are just mostly unforgeable. And I did a little bit more digging just to see if there were any more additional views with regard to the Ethereum hack, and there are plenty of them. But one I thought was kind of interesting to begin with, just as kind of clickbaity because of the title and whatnot. But I want to go ahead and throw this one out there because I think it's kind of silly, and because, yeah, all right, here it is. Was the DAO hack an inside job? And this is by Locke, spelled Locke. Was the DAO hack planned and deliberate? Furthering thoughts I presented in another website, apparently, or another Steemit article. A major hurdle for any cryptocurrency is the proliferation of use cases. If a currency holder has no way of using their currency, then it is essentially worthless. The only thing sustaining its price is investor interest. Many investors are wary of cryptocurrencies because of their lack of knowledge surrounding the subject. It is an entirely new topic and causes hesitation due to its volatility and tenuous legal standing. A Miami judge recently ruled that Bitcoin is not money, and I happen to agree with that perspective. In the next show, we're actually going to talk about that one. Rather than await mainstream legal approval, Ethereum was presented with an opportunity to prove its ability to implement community consensus. The first major chance for any blockchain community to reach a decentralized decision about a significant event. I think in the long run, this is a hugely important step. In fact, I think it is so important that since it first happened, I questioned whether it has been staged. Aside from anything else, there was a fortune to be made from selling before and buying after the news that the DAO hack had been released. That alone is enough to make enough motive to make reasonable mind suspicious. Make a reasonable mind suspicious. My apologies there. However, I believe the Ethereum Foundation is an altogether altruistic venture. that would be more concerned with providing an operating example of Ethereum's ability to reach community consensus. With DevCoin 2 just around the corner, this is a powerful message to share with the crypto market. And I believe this guy's thesis is completely silly. Could the DAO hack have been an inside job? Absolutely. It could have been a butthurt developer, didn't get paid, or some other reason decided, hey, you know what? I see this vulnerability, I'm going to exploit it. As far as what kind of use case this would have shown, one thing I could think of, and you're going to have to kind of walk carefully with me here, just because I'm going to jump into some potentially dangerous water here. If you reflect back on Ethereum's history, and most of it was covered in that silly article, there was a great deal of investment from bankers in this one. And one of the bankers' biggest problems with cryptocurrencies is their immutability. See, they want ledgers that they can go back and edit. They don't like a continuous blockchain that they can't hide their mistakes on, that they can't hide their investments on. They don't like that at all. They want to be able to shield from public eyes various actions that they perform, such as possibly the creation of additional coins, or maybe editing the block time, or maybe a wide variety of implementations can be made if you can make the ledger mutable. And so if I wanted to demonstrate the efficacy of my coin's mutability, yeah, the DAO hack like this, and that causes a supposedly consensus-backed hard forking of the coin, this would be a perfect way to demonstrate the use case of Ethereum's mutability. But we've also seen in the market, and with the birth of Ethereum Classic, the lack of the entire community's willingness to go along with this idea. And I think as time goes on, in the not so distant future, regular Ethereum is probably going to be facing another hard fork decision. And when it comes, if they do decide to do that hard fork, I think that's just going to completely torpedo any kind of sense of legitimacy anybody has concerning Ethereum. And that Ethereum Classic will take over. And that somehow or another they'll probably liquidate the last 1.1 of Vitalik's funds in the attempts to save Ethereum. But, we're not going to get through this period of development on cryptocurrencies without challenges, and it's how we respond to those challenges that is most important. Hard forks, I don't believe they do a lot to create legitimacy for Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. I don't think they're a positive solution. Now, if we're talking about something that is, some vulnerability that is literally crippling the network, is making mining impossible. They managed to lock up a significant portion of the mining hash power, and they introduced some implementation that nobody else really likes or nobody else really wanted. Okay, now it's time that we can talk about hard forking. But you create an experimental investment vehicle. People invest money in it. Somebody figures out an exploit and exploits it. Finds a vulnerability and exploits it in your investment vehicle. You don't go back and try and steal the money back from them. You look at the mistake that you made. You edit your code so it doesn't happen in the future. And then you present your potential implementations to the community, and they decide whether or not they want to implement it. That's how you develop quote-unquote consensus, not saying to the community, this is the new implementation, you will implement this, you will not support the previous implementation. We're back to the Federal Reserve. You've just taken the place of Janet Yellen or Alan Greenspan or any of those other monkeys. You know, we're back to coins that we have to trust now. We have to trust that you're not going to wave that magic wand or drop that hammer and change the code out from under us again and require of us that we adopt this new implementation. You know, that's going to sour a lot of people on your project. And unless you're in it for just the quick buck, you should really care about that stuff. Because you are going to be... When people can look at Dogecoin, okay, and see more legitimacy at Dogecoin than they do with your coin and your projects, which one do you think they're going to choose? They're probably going to choose Dogecoin. You know, I don't hear Dogecoin talking about let's do hard forks, although they did do some weird stuff to their code and made it to where I think it's bottomless. I'm not entirely certain. I think they took the cap off the number of coins that can be mined on it, which I think is a mistake. But, you know, again, we don't learn these things without trying, you know. And I think that's the one of the biggest lessons to be taken away from Ethereum is that they tried. The real question at this point is whether they are willing to learn from their mistakes. And so far, I think they're not. You know, I think they're too beholden to their investors to say, "Hey, we fucked up. We lost 150 million bucks. You want to continue to support us? That's on you." You know, because they're so afraid that the money's going to get withdrawn. You know what? If you don't have any balls, the money will get withdrawn. If you are unwilling to demonstrate in your decisions that you stand by your project with all of your convictions, unless you're willing to demonstrate that, you probably don't have any business in this space. You probably should just go back to fiat currencies and you know, and stick to algo trading or some other bullshit like that. Because this space is, we're walking into Adventureland here, and you're grasping for the hand of mommy or daddy, you know, or you're trying to be mommy or daddy in this situation, and you're going to fail because the rest of the planet will not let you be mommy and daddy. And it's with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and play our last dance. We're going to dedicate it to all those mommies and daddies out there who want to roll back history and burn it like it never even happened. So here it is, our last dance, Meshuggah, Combustion. And until next time, trade safe, do your homework, and watch out for your bunghole because nobody else will. Thanks a lot for listening, and y'all have a great day.